best scheme team, and they're going to have to be the best disciplined team in order to get wins, like this week coming up against the Ravens.
Well, again, we'll talk to Dave about this when we get him on the line, but you got to be able to get off the field too.
Right.
The 3rd and 14, the 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 7, a 1st and 20. That defense, I don't care how much talent the other team has on you. As a fan watching, you've got to do whatever you've got to do to get off the field, because when you don't, it is just devastating, I think, to a team when you can't get off the field 3rd and 14. And we'll bring Dave.
You got to be in good situations. Yeah. Why are they playing man-to-man coverage when they don't have man-to-man corners? They're playing man-to-man coverage. They don't have man-to-man coverage. They're playing man-to-man coverage without man-to-man corners. And you see what happens on the 51-yard pass by Devontae Adams. You as a coach have to put players in better situations. So that's why I say it's all around. Coaches have to put players in better plays, and then players have to be disciplined as well. And we'll bring Dave Birkett back on with us. Dave, we apologize about that moments ago. These technical issues are what they are, but glad to have you back on the line now. Just one of the things that Braylon and I were talking about is, what can Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn learn about this defense moving forward? And you pointed it out on your Twitter feed the other night too, and you don't have to look too hard to find. You can't get off the field 3rd and 14, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 1st and 20. Yeah. And you wrote about it today as well, about Dan Campbell putting that game on the offense. And I understand the point he's trying to make and that you're trying to make, but as a fan, I'm looking at this thing saying, get off the field.
Right. No, it sounds backwards, and glad to join you guys. Let's blame the rain for the technical difficulties.
Blame it on the rain.
No. But now, look, it sounds kind of backwards, right? When you have one of the worst defenses in the NFL to say, hey, this game is about our offense. But I get it, because when you think something is going to be a strong suit for you, i.e. the offensive line, the running game, the ability to take care of the ball and play, ball secure football, I guess, and then those things don't happen, you leave yourselves with no chance. And that's, I think, what Dan was getting at, that, look, we have a very small margin for error defensively, right? They just don't have the horses on that side of the ball. And so, yes, they can do some good things, but they really need the offense to come through and do its part for that defense to have any shot at being successful.
Talking to Dave Birkett, Lions beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. You can follow him on Twitter. Great content on his Twitter page and, of course, at freep.com. And you talk about that offense, and one of the units that really, Dave, seemed to be the worst unit on the team was the wide receiver unit. But what are they getting out of guys like Quintez Cephas and, of course, Hawkinson, if you want to throw him in there to a pass-catching situation. Quintez Cephas, though, really looking like a guy that you could go to a little bit here moving forward as the season progresses.
Right. Hawkinson's a stud. I think everyone knows what he provides. He's one of the top handful of tight ends in the game. Really going to have a nice season for them. But Cephas has been a surprise, and I think even to the coaching staff and the people in that building. He was part of the old regime, and maybe not the exact style receiver that this new regime favors. He's not the speedy downfield guy. He wins sort of bully ball sometimes, but the play that he almost made, that catch that he almost made, that one-handed grab that he tried when he was falling to the ground. That was almost a great catch, and we've seen plays like that out of him this preseason. And so I think there is a little bit of hope that in time, or at least while Tyrell Williams is down, he can give the Lions a little something on the outside and at least make defenses respect that vertical passing game a little bit, because right now that's not something that they have to do. They can double up on Hawkinson, and they can look for those dump offs to Swift and Jamal Williams, and they can really force the Lions to play ball that doesn't fit the players that they have on their team.
Dave, Braylon here. I didn't want to beat up on the Lions too much. I picked the Lions out of turning back into a homer, so I picked the Lions over Green Bay, and it didn't work out too well for me, and I caught a lot of flack. But I wanted to focus on what the Lions did well. Like, I looked at the Lions and I saw that first half, and I saw a team that didn't mind being, in a space of new players, young players, trying to figure it out, buying into what Dan Campbell said. They mixed up the run with the pass a little bit. Quintez Cephas, who I've been high on since I was at Big Ten Network, and I was talking about him at Wisconsin. I've always loved him, caught with his hands, a good playmaker. I think they have enough to play in tight games and to surprise some teams, maybe even the Ravens. But the one thing I need from them and Dan Campbell is, if you see the second half of the game, you see the first series for the Green Bay Packers, you see what happened. They get the sack, and then they go man coverage, and then Aaron gets the 3rd and 12, 51-yard pass. The way in which they're going to win games, and correct me if I'm wrong, they have to be disciplined, no turnovers, no penalties, no small, that they call self-inflicted negatives. That's what they say in the NFL. That's how they're going to win games. Do you see that? Like, can they? Am I hitting a kind of sort of on the right track? If they can act like that, no self-inflicted negatives, do they have a chance to play in tight games this season and potentially maybe win a game or two that they shouldn't have won?
Yeah, I'm going to first tell you, Braylon, go with the Ravens this week. I just don't know. That's a little friendly advice, right? But no, to your point, I mean, I think that's really the only way they can win, and they will do some of that because, this locker room seems to like not just Dan Campbell but the rest of the coaching staff. They seem to, be responding to some of those guys, and look, certainly there's going to be some mistakes coaching-wise as they go, and these guys are. Dan Campbell is a first-time head coach, really. Aaron Glenn, a first-time defensive coordinator. So there's some things that they have to learn about themselves and about their players. But let's give some credit to Aaron Rodgers for some of those throws, too. I mean, that was a great ball. I think Melifonwu was in decent coverage on that, and that's the play that he got hurt on. He pulled up at the very end, grabbed his quad there. So if the Lions can play, limit their mistakes, keep control of the clock. That's really what they try to do with this running game to keep those great quarterbacks that they face off the field. Then yeah, they have a chance to be in the most ball games, and I think they're going to win their share of them. It's going to be a lean year because they have such a small margin for error and because that roster is so young and so thin right now.
Hey Dave, it's Maz. Can you fill us in on most of the injuries on this team? Who they're bringing in? I think they signed somebody off the practice squad again today. Yep. Are they looking at anybody down the line to help out in that defense?
Yeah, a critical mass right now at the cornerback position. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows they lost Jeff Okudah and they lost Melifonwu this past week. So right now it looks like it's going to be Monty Oruwariye and maybe Bobby Price as your starting cornerbacks. And Bobby was, he was a safety 3 months ago. So definitely have some. That's one, to your point, Braylon, where the coaches are going to have to make sure they protect him in some of these games. They signed Daryl Worley today off the practice squad, Maz. Veteran cornerback. He immediately becomes their most experienced corner, so maybe they mix him into the playing rotation as well. But they're just so young there. And then offensively, they're going to be without Tyrell Williams likely again this week. He should be their number one receiver, and that means Quintez Cephas is probably playing a bigger role again against the Ravens.
Nevin Lawson was a name out there that was going to be on the practice squad, but he winds up signing today, I think, in Jacksonville. That would have been a good revisit, perhaps.
Well, it depends what Lions fans, I guess, you ask and what they remember
it's a body.
About his tenure here. But hey, no, that's the point, right? Is they still are so young, right? AJ Parker, I think, has played pretty well at the slot, and Jerry Jacobs is a rookie, and Bobby Price might as well be a rookie. So really, 3 of their top 4 cornerbacks before promoting Worley were rookies. And so if you can get a veteran in there, they still have Nickel Roby-Coleman on the practice squad. At least maybe there's some stability when things start going crazy, and you have a veteran in that secondary that can slow things down a little bit.
Hey, Dave, I want to ask you, one of the things that's fun for us to talk about is we, fill 2 hours, or if you got a 4-hour show, whatever the case may be. Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker. What is going to happen with Sewell once Decker gets back?
That's the question.
That is. No, I mean, look, it's, really, I've said this going back to the summer, right? The most important thing for the Lions this year is not wins and losses, because they're not going to be a playoff team. It's how some of these young players and positions that we expect to be pillars for this franchise, for this rebuild, how they develop. And Sewell being the most prominent of those guys. I mean, he's looked really good at left tackle so far. Had some hiccups, as you'd expect, but he's looked a lot better there than he did right tackle, in the preseason. I don't think the Lions know exactly what they're going to do yet. They still have probably 2 more games without Taylor. But my guess, and this is just a guess right now, is that Taylor Decker stays at left tackle for the time being. Sewell goes back to right tackle, and I say that only because as good as Sewell has looked, I still think Taylor Decker is a better left tackle at this point. And Dan Campbell, within the framework of that, that greater rebuilding process and building for the future, he's still trying to win games now. And so to play Taylor Decker at left tackle, I think gives the Lions the best opportunity to win games now.
And Jared Goff, talk to me about him, Dave. I said yesterday on the show that I think that Jared Goff has to be your quarterback moving forward because, one, I don't know if there's a franchise-changing quarterback in the draft next year, and two, this defense is so bad. Any resource you could throw it next year with 2 first-round picks,
they're worse than last year.
wouldn't be bad. You got a thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, we could have a long discussion about that one. Look, I wouldn't write Jared Goff off yet, but I think the Lions are going to need to get a quarterback probably sooner rather than later. I think you need the guy to have sustainable long-term success, which the Lions want. I think you need that guy at the quarterback position, and I'm not sure that Goff is it. And I know the Lions like some of the leadership, and they like, some of the they put more on his plate from a protection standpoint than he had in L.A. He threw a couple nice balls that first half. Was a really good first half the other day, but then he had 2 turnovers in the second half, and they had some substitution problems where they, clock management. They had to burn 1 timeout in the third quarter, and they took another delay game penalty. And too often I see where maybe he's not trusting his arm enough and throwing the ball downfield into tight windows like we used to see with Matthew Stafford. And so I think Jared is a good quarterback, but I think the Lions are going to desire more than that for them to get where they want to go.
Final thing from me, Dave. Are we going to see Derek Barnes at linebacker this week? I mean, that unit is just you thought the defensive backs were bad. The linebacking unit for this team is I mean, throw some shoulder pads on Braylon Edwards over here. Send him. I mean, not to be.
You didn't need Micah Parsons.
Maybe you too.
Oh man, Dave, you should have seen me back in high school, baby. Number 35 should never be worn again.
You got him started. Don't get him back to Grosse Pointe South days, man. Don't do it.
He'll be playing those highlights for you guys in the office
on VHS.
No.
Don't do it. How fast can we? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say on that to the previous point about having so many holes on defense and maybe doubling up those first round picks. Look, they need a linebacker, they need a cornerback, because you can't trust Okudah coming back. Who knows what he's going to be, right?
Corners.
After basically
Please.
a year. Yeah,
please.
I mean, you need a wide receiver. There's a lot of holes there, and so yes, Derek Barnes is going to play this week. And really, I think they need to take a long look at a bunch of these rookies. That's why the Melifonwu injury hurts, because they really need to see what they have for future seasons.
I like him.
All right, listen, Dave, let me just give you a what if. Take me back to draft night. I was the only one sitting on my ass when Penei was picked. Everyone else was jumping up and down. The Lions room was jumping up and down. I said, their offensive line is pretty darn good the way it was. Why not go for a Micah Parsons? Yeah. Why not go for a wide receiver? Better yet, why not pick your quarterback of the future? They missed the boat on all 3 of those things. So go back now. Would you have rather had Penei Sewell or those 3 guys, those 3 positions I just told you? Right now.
It's a good question.
Right now.
Yeah, no, it's look, I had Trey Lance been there, I was all with you on the quarterback thing, and I'm not, I think there's a possibility the Lions would have taken him. Just, let me just put that out there. I do think that Sewell was probably the best, maybe not consensusly, but had the best grades among most of the Draftniks teams than Micah Parsons, than some of those other quarterbacks. So I think the Lions got the right guy. Now it's going to be painful, especially if a guy like Justin Fields, who you play twice a year, develops into a really good quarterback, and all of a sudden, the Bears are this excellent team because you could have had them, and it's 2 straight years that you passed on. 4 quarterbacks they passed on the last 2 years, and Tua and Justin Herbert and Fields and Mac Jones. So the quarterback one is the one that's always going to be the big question that's going to hang over this team. But I don't have a problem with him passing on either of the other positions, because I really do subscribe to Brad Holmes' theory of trying to build a monster, and that's what he wanted to do with the offensive line, was just build one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, thinking that Sewell could be that final piece to that.
I know, but they already had a good line to begin with. That was just my take on it. But you know what? It's hindsight. All right, what's the final score Sunday? Honestly,
Lamar Jackson playing 3 or 4 quarters. I don't know.
He's going to play all of it.
Yeah, all right. No, I mean, look, they're back home, right? And sort of like last week, I thought, it was a division game. I thought the Lions could keep it close, and the Lions certainly will have something schemed up for Lamar Jackson. But you guys would have to go back and look at this. Lamar Jackson historically against teams from the NFC, because maybe even though they know how well he runs, there's still maybe some, they don't quite understand how good of a runner he is. He rushes for 100 yards against all the NFC teams that he plays for. So I'm looking for a big game for Lamar Jackson. I think this is a game the Ravens win by 10 or so points. Sorry, Braylon.
Yeah,
I got the Ravens.
They're going to score. They're going to score 40 plus, right?
Well, what's the average? 40. 31, right?
They've allowed 31 in 8 straight.
8 straight.
8 straight with 30 plus. I got it 34-24. Let's go there.
Sounds about right.
There you go. All right.
That was my pick on Monday night.
Hey, Dave, we really appreciate your time, man. We know you're busy, and we can't thank you enough for a couple of minutes here on Woodward Sports. We really appreciate it. Hope to do it again soon.
Hey, we'll do it when it's sunny next time so we can get on video.
Amen, my friend. Amen. My friend. All right, guys.
Thanks,
follow Dave on Twitter. Great content at Dave Birkett. Also, read his stuff in the Free Press on freep.com. Got to get to a break. We'll react to everything that Dave...